A new poll out shows that Bernie Sanders now has a commanding lead in New Hampshire over the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, according to a new CNN WMUR poll. Vermont Senator is now a favorite of 60% of Granite State voters, compared to 33% for Hillary Clinton. Damn, dude, that's a commanding lead. That is huge. Huge. As Trump or Sanders would say. His support has grown by 10 points since early December, when the same poll found that 50% of Democratic voters supported him over Clinton, who got about 40%. The difference is that people have started to make up their mind about Senator Sanders. And remember, one of the biggest hurdles to Senator Sanders is his name recognition. Most people don't know who he is. But who is this guy? Who is this disheveled, frumpy old man? Well, now they know who he is, and now they know what he stands for. And the more you get to know about Senator Sanders and his positions, the more people actually like him, which is really interesting. In fact, according to the survey, more voters have made up their minds about who they support, with 52% of them saying they now know who they will vote for, compared to 36% back in early December from that last poll. Now, here's another significant portion of this poll. According to undeclared voters, in this survey, voters that don't belong to either party, right, and can vote in the primary, in either primary, well, Sanders has a lead over them as well. Sanders leads Clinton 70% to 25%. Jeez. Now, of course, when you take in registered Democratic voters, Bernie Sanders shrinks to about 9%. So really, he is leading on people who are not affiliated to either party, who are leading among independents. Now, that's very important, especially when you consider the general election. Most of America is sort of in the middle. They're more independents. So if you're going to court the independent vote and you get the independent vote, that's very, very important. A lot of people don't seem to realize that political parties actually make up a very small portions of the electorate. The Republican Party is actually much smaller than the Democratic Party overall in membership. Now you might be like, well, why do they win all the time? Well, it's because Democrats don't get out to vote. For some reason, except for presidential elections where we've seen an overwhelming majority go and sweep Democrats into office like Barack Obama, well, when it comes to things like midterms, and that's why we always say midterms matter, they don't show up as much. And Republicans always show up. They're very reliable, and that's why they get the edge. You add in independents to the mix. Well, especially when it comes to, once again, presidential elections, they're also very important because it makes up the majority. All right? And there's a lot of left-leaning, Democratic-leaning independents. And that's who Bernie Sanders is courting. Very, very interesting. Now, when it comes to issues, right? 57% of people in this poll indicated that Senator Sanders would do better with the economy, while just 33% said the same about Hillary Clinton. It turns out that Sanders' economic policies, a minimum wage, raising it to a living wage, a $15 an hour living wage, is actually very popular. Helping, punishing the banks for what they did on Wall Street during the crash, or that caused the crash. It's another thing that people support Senator Sanders on, breaking up those big banks, those institutions that are too big to fail, too big to jail, and therefore are too big to exist. Very popular with the American public. So this is a gigantic lead in New Hampshire, one of the first primary states. So it's very significant. How it will play out nationally, I don't know. But if he can win Iowa and New Hampshire, and I've said this before, he can get momentum to try and win in other places. Because once again, I got to remind you guys that Bernie Sanders' biggest problem isn't electability, it's name recognition. And if he wins, he gets more name recognition and therefore has more of a better chance of winning some of the other states.